that we talked about it before, but man, that was wild what he did. That was such a crazy play.
Well, after today's game, they're calling
I know.
They're calling the quarterback Jalen mid-throw. So I guess he didn't have a good game.
I would imagine. But yeah, they lost to Tennessee, which I called that. Man. I said Tennessee, between them and Tennessee, one of them is probably going to the national title. And I think Tennessee is really good. I mean, beating Alabama is not easy whatsoever. And they took them down. And then we got USC lost. Even Oregon, man. Like speaking of what I've been saying, not putting up enough points for Penn State, Oregon beat Purdue 35-0. I mean, that's nothing. That's good, but Purdue's 1-5. That's horrible.
It's a shutout, though. I mean, they didn't let them score, so that's good.
Yeah. But so overall, pretty consistent across the board for college football right now. But Penn State so far we're undefeated. I'll pull up the schedule here.
Oh, quick take on Tennessee. Yeah, I mean they lost to Arkansas. Alabama's falling down. We'll see how good Tennessee is. I don't think the quarterback's playing very good. I mean, his stat line was not great. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think they're for real.
Who are you talking about?
Tennessee. I don't think they're great. No. I think they're very – anyone's mortal right now. I mean, nobody's a superhuman team, so that's the good thing. But nobody looks – I mean, Texas and Georgia, we'll see. I mean, Texas's quarterback was out for weeks. We'll see. He had to knock the rust off last week, which Oklahoma didn't have an offense, so we'll see.
Yeah, and Georgia and Texas, I mean, let's say Georgia wins.
That'd be good.
Ohio State's 1. Oregon's 1. Ohio State's 2. We're 3. I don't think we're moving up. And I would highly doubt Georgia would move into they should move into the top 4, but I don't think they should jump us or be number 1 by any means. But Alabama's pretty much cooked.
Yeah, cooked.
It's really going to come down to us and Ohio State, man. The Big Ten is definitely going to be the team that makes a difference for sure. So we'll see how it plays out. But what are you guys' thoughts on we're 6-0, haven't lost. We got Wisconsin next week on the road. Then we got Ohio State at home. My contemplation is whether I should go or not, because that could be historical if we win that game.
Yeah.
So Brett, what do you think about next week?
Yeah, I mean Wisconsin's they played Northwestern today. What was the score? I didn't even see the score of that game. Let me see here. Let's see. But I mean Wisconsin destroyed Rutgers last week. Rutgers was getting beat today, I think, too, so they might be just going downhill completely. So maybe Rutgers isn't as good as we thought. Which we knew they weren't great, but they were pretty decent to start the year, and they were decent last year. I mean, playing at Camp Randall's no easy task to begin with, but then you got it at 7:30. I mean, that just makes it. But Penn State plays good. Night games, I think we come alive. We play our best games at night. Let's be honest here. Mm-hmm. Think about it. Look at our records at night, and just like the Illinois game, we should have scored more points, but our defense was going crazy. Wisconsin beat Northwestern 23-3. Northwestern's not good, so that's not impressive. But I mean, like I said, we can't look past them.
Brett, I don't mean to cut you off. Jared, I'm picking up squeaking in your background.
Okay, I'm not. There's nothing in this room that would make that happen.
Yeah, I think it's just the way the audio is coming through. You hear that, Brett?
I don't hear anything.
Jared, try hopping out and coming back in.
Okay, bud.
I don't think it's my audio or anything. But, go ahead, Brett. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, going to Wisconsin on the road, I think our boys will be ready for it. But yeah, it's not something we can look past. And I know Franklin and the team, they're definitely not looking past them, especially after a bye week. I know bye week sucks. It's kind of we're down because we don't get to see Penn State play. But if there was a bye week that we needed, it definitely wasn't week 3 like we had before. It was right now because we have bumps and bruises all across the board. Offense, defense. People were playing hurt. Nick obviously played hurt last week, right? Did you see
Yes.
that the game tying touchdown? The way he ran, dude, he was like wobbly. Like you could tell he was going through an injury, probably a sprain or some type of ankle something. But our offensive line's pretty beat up. We need to get healthy there. Caden Saunders, we should be getting him back at some point. And I know Zion Tracy's been doing okay for the punt returns, but Caden Saunders has more ability to make guys miss because he has more experience in it. Zion Tracy, I think, will get there, but he needs to take more snaps. Defensively, Kobe King, Dom DeLuca, they're all playing through injuries too. I mean, Dom DeLuca's been playing with his hand wrapped. So, I mean, we've been pretty beat up across the board. So I am happy we had a bye week now because we got to get healthy, fix the running game, figure out what's going on there because the last 2 weeks we didn't look great. We weren't dominating the line of scrimmage when it mattered to running the ball. We didn't allow a sack last week, so that's good news. But when it came to the running game, it was non-existent. So we got to get back to that because we can't. Obviously, Drew won the game for us last week, and everything worked out. But that's not how we want to play. We want to run first and then get off to play action and throw downfield off that. So if we can fix the running game, I think we'll be in good shape next week. And like I said, I'm not super nervous about it, but there's just a part of me that's like, all right, well, when things start to go good for Penn State, something happens usually. So there's always that that fear in your head, 6-0. We always pretty much start off 6-0, and then something will happen. So if we can go to Wisconsin, maybe not even. Well, obviously we want to dominate them, but if we can beat them by 10 points or something, I'll be happy with that. That's a road win. Let's move on for Ohio State. So, I think the boys will be ready, and I'm eager to see what goes on.
Yeah, I was talking to an offensive coordinator, former offensive coordinator last night for high school, and he's a big Kotelnicki guy, big Penn State fan. I'm going to have him on at some point. And he said that he thinks that they're being calculated with the offense, like we've talked about on here, which is what I've been wondering what's going on. And so that, for him to say that, I think that must be what they're doing. They're just being methodical with their offense, being just doing what they need to do. And I agree with Brett on the fact that if we beat Wisconsin by 10 to 17 points, that's a great win for me. It's on the road. I don't really care how we win, just as long as we win. I mean, I don't want to win by 3 or by 2 or something like that, or win the last minute. I think we're going to dominate them, but it's on the road. It's at night. It's going to be tough. Probably a blackout or a red out or something like that. But overall, it's going forward. Now, like you just said, Brett, I thought about that too. The fact that we always start out 5-6-0. 21, we looked really good. Lost on the road against Iowa. Now that was a joke of a game because
Clifford got hurt. Clifford we went by 2 scores. Sorry,
of course, Iowa being Iowa, they stormed the field because that fan base is absolutely clueless when it comes to winning football games. We went in after halftime with a backup quarterback, barely made it past the 50, won a game they were favored in with our quarterback with ribs sticking out of his freaking skin, and they're storming the field. And then Bob Stoops said, of course they're number 2 in the nation. Look at that. And it's that was what made me so mad about that was the fact that Iowa won and they did what they did. Cause I knew they would do that because they don't know because they wouldn't know a winning program at all. So that really ticked me off, but that's just one example of starting off big. And then I think the difference, man, for this year is the fact that we had that road win against USC, because I don't care. That's a tough win. It's USC. I don't care what the record says. Like, that's not a bad team. They have Lincoln Riley as their coach, which the guy has multiple Heismans under his belt. Clearly, he's done something right. And then we've got Miller Moss, and their running back was pretty good. And so I think that's the difference. Like, previous seasons, we haven't had that type of win, but this year we do. So I do think that this team is different and this record is different. But I think they're going to be okay on the road against Wisconsin. Then we got Ohio State at home. So I don't know where Jared went. But
I must have lost him. He just flew away.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the difference. I think that's kind of the difference right now. So, Jared, you're back. What the heck?
Can Jared, you guys see me now? Like, am I coming through okay?
I think so.
Are you good? Can you see me? I mean, you're still kind of distorted.
I mean, you look like you're behind a fogged window right now.
We can hear you.
Okay, hold on one sec.
But yeah, Brett. So that's just kind of my thoughts right now initially. But yeah, that the road win with USC really I think is different. But we definitely have some tests coming up for sure. Yeah. Now looking at the top 25 here, what we're looking at.
Which is going to shake up a lot after this weekend, after what's going on right now.
Depending on what happens right now with Texas and Georgia, which I have on in the background, we got Oregon and then also Ohio State, Georgia. No matter who loses, someone's dropping out of that top 5, I would say. Well, yeah, no matter who loses, I think you're dropping out of the top 5. Because Georgia they're not that good. And if they beat Texas, then man, you really are. You're looking at Oregon, who I still think is not that good. Yeah, and then we got us in Ohio State, man. So,
dude, Georgia might go up 2 scores right now, man. Texas might be in trouble. Yep.
I'm at 12-1 right now.
I mean, yeah, I mean Georgia's drive. They're at Texas's 20-yard line, and they're about to
what's
score
your clock
again.
say on the screen?
Is that like 12? Well, it's on instant replay now.
I'm slightly ahead of you. We might be. I'm at 11:43.
No, 11:44. Yeah, we're at the same thing.
All right.
He just missed the pass, but they at least get a field goal. They go up 10-0.
Yeah. So
there you go. He's clear.
Georgia could possibly win.
We have to win. We want Texas to have a loss. That'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great.
So yeah, if okay, so let's just hypothetically talk right now. So Texas loses, I think they're dropping out of the top 5 at least, because they lost to a 1-loss team at home, who isn't that good. The only team they lost to has 2 losses now, or 2 bad loss. I mean, yeah, 2 bad losses. Alabama shouldn't lose to Tennessee, even though I think Tennessee is better. So you're gonna have Oregon 1. Us 2, Ohio State 3, and then you'll have probably Georgia 4, maybe Miami 4. They had a pretty good win, but it'll be interesting, man. Like freaking Joel Klatt said, it could be 1 and 2 for us going into Ohio State and Penn State. It's going to be very interesting. But Jared,
my thing with Miami is, every game they win, they're letting the other team score like 40 points, dude. So I don't know if they have a defense or not. Other than their defensive line, I don't know. But yeah, they keep escaping games. I'm not a Miami fan. I despise them.
Nah, they're overrated.
Yeah, they're
their
good.
quarterback he's projected to be the first overall pick. I mean, that just goes to show
he's
you
good.
how little those guys. He is, but he's not first overall pick good, I don't think.
No, but it's either him or Shedeur Sanders, and he's okay.
He's not even that good either.
Yeah.
All right, so Jared, what do you think about the season so far? Just overall, I think the USC game kind of changed your mindset a little bit.
I mean, ultimately what we got going on is Penn State is doing Penn State things. They are defensively one of the best teams in the entire Big Ten, in the entire NCAA. It's definitely important for them to always maintain that identity. But when it comes to the offense and what we think can happen, it's inconsistent. It's very much all over the place. I very much appreciate guys like Drew Aller improving, getting guys like Julius Fleming and Liam Clifford involved, as well as, of course, the emergence of Tyler Warren, a.k.a. the president of Penn State. I mean, I think that's a great nickname for him. He definitely has emerged as the best tight end. Again, I'm not saying all of college football, but certainly in Big Ten play. It's so great to see these guys do what they're doing. But again, we're watching a lot of, quarters get away. And I mean, overall, this whole season, you've seen quarters where you're just kind of like, are you just stringing these guys along and then you make your move in the second half? Like, there's just something about the first half that it's like, it's not consistent, and it just makes you very, very nervous. And naturally, last week, that was some of the most nerve-wracking and most painful things to watch. Like nothing was working in the first half for Penn State. So I knew that when they were going into the second half, I knew we were getting the ball. I know pretty much everyone was turning their TVs off or just shutting the game down altogether. And I remember thinking, we get the ball back. If we get points, and of course, if we score a touchdown, then I will continue to watch the game. I mean, I was very adamant, like, if we do not score on this drive, I'm shutting this game down. I did not care if they came back in some miraculous way again. But naturally, they did adjust very, very well. And again, it just shows you right now what USC is going through, because again, losing to a team like Maryland, now again, that was a road game that went to the other side of the country. So it was in Maryland. Any kind of road test anyone will tell you it is almost impossible to like go from, East Coast Pennsylvania to West Coast USC or Oregon. Oregon is probably the hardest place to play in all of the Western Coast football. Like, everyone talks about how Eugene is basically like Ohio State, Penn State, like atmosphere. It's insane. Yeah. So that we definitely have some of the more important, venues to watch, like the biggest stages. Like, again, Ohio State and Oregon, one of the biggest games of the year. What we're watching right now coming up with Ohio State and Penn State is going to be one of the bigger games of the year. It's definitely important for Penn State to always know that they've got the venue and they've got this great, great defense. I'm always impressed with how this defense is always figuring things out, always adjusting when they need to. I mean, lights out against really USC the entire second half. One touchdown? I was just blown away by what they did in that game against them. You can't ask for more. So do I think they're a top 5 team? Statistically, what we're seeing around the league, the answer is yes. But, I mean, can we say we're a number 1 team with that offense? I mean, Nick Singleton is hurt. That's, the running back game is always going to be Keytron Allen, Nick Singleton. That's always the tangent, the two-headed monster at Penn State. That's what keeps us relevant if Drew Aller's inconsistent. And that has been the case here and there. Some games, he'll throw for 200, 210. And then the games he played miraculous, like he's turned it on 300, 350 plus. I mean, it's great to see that he is finally showing us those kinds of games and those types of results. So we have the stuff. We have everything going for us. I mean, I think the only thing we have that you question is maybe things like on the offensive line, just little things like that. Like, can they emerge outside of guys like Tyler Warren? I mean, those names, again, I named them, Julius Fleming and the Liam Clifford. It's so important for them to find an identity. And I'm not mentioning Wallace III. So, I mean, it's just, they have wide receivers. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do against teams like Ohio State and Indiana. Indiana? What is going on right now in that area? I don't even know how to describe what that phenomenon is right now. Indiana is right now kind of becoming the biggest surprise in all of college football. Dude, they're probably going to be 12th or 13th after this week. 7-0 for the first time or second time in their entire school season history. That's unbelievable. So they're doing some pretty interesting things over in Indiana. And I know we played them this year. So it's all of a sudden going to be like a huge stretch coming down at the end of the season. So what I expect from the second half is good, smart play calling. Like again, once you win a game like that with USC, the most important thing you cannot do is backpedal. You cannot have an inconsistent second game or the next game. Like if we go up to Wisconsin, and again, Wisconsin always likes to be loud, always likes to be in our heads. What is that?
I think Georgia got another interception.
That's my
nuts.
God.
Sorry,
oh my God.
Jared, go ahead.
Yeah, it's all good. No, listen, this is all part of it, dude. We're trying our darndest to get to the highest platform, the number 1 seed. I mean, could we be that? That's all. Again, it all factors. Like everyone is really showing some inconsistencies. I mean, what is it? A team like Notre Dame? What are they? 1 loss? Like all of a sudden they could be. All of a sudden they could be entering in the conversation of top 5 teams too. Like it's things like that, like all over the place between. What is it? I mean, Tennessee's going to get in the top 10 now. And again, Miami will stay around where they are.
Cooked. Alabama's cooked. Yeah. Michigan's done.
Yeah.
Like they're done.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's long gone.
Michigan should not have been ranked this week at all. So now Illinois gets a ranked win against Michigan, which is fine because we beat Illinois. So that's all fine and dandy. But Michigan should not have been ranked. And real quick,
Illinois
we don't play Indiana.
Tennessee, I don't know if Tennessee won't be top. They'll be top 10, but
because they beat a number 7. But we don't play Indiana, Jared. Which listen, I'm happy about. For right now, we don't play them in the regular season. I would not want to play Indiana right now, dude. I would.
Oh, I thought we played them at the end of the year.
I mean, I just want to say this about Indiana real quick.
Purdue, Minnesota, and Indiana, or Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland, other than Wisconsin and Ohio State.
I mean, I just want to say this real quick. Like Indiana, it's cool that they're undefeated and they won today. They're 7-0, and of course the broadcast was going all over them and everything. And they're interviewing the coach at the end of the game. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care who they have playing for them. It's Indiana, and I don't think anybody's forgot that. I think we would beat them? I think a lot of teams would beat them. It's Indiana, man. I'm not giving them.
Dude, have you seen their receiver? Their receiving core is actually very good, better than our receiving core. So I mean, I don't know.
I think they could definitely make a run, but it's Indiana, man. That coach.
Yeah, it's a wait and see game. Yeah, I don't know, but
he's a little corny, but.
Well, yeah, he's very cocky and kind of corny. I mean, he said, "I win, Google me," but
he's like Dion, but he's not Dion. He's like Dion last year. He's a
poser,
constantly talking them up, and it's like Dion, you're at Colorado.
Oh boy.
They didn't win a game last year, but
17-0.
Yeah. So holy crap, 17-0.
17.
All right. So you know what's crazy, man? Like I said, Tennessee or Texas isn't. I've said Texas isn't that good. I think they're better with Arch Manning and Steve Sarkisian. I can't.
Yeah, they might be. They might be better with Arch Manning for some reason.
Dude, I could tell you some stories. I'm not going to. I'll tell you off air, but I can tell you some stories about Steve Sarkisian and what he was like when he was at USC, because I knew some people that were at USC when he was there, and it's nothing good, man. Like he's I do not like him at all. That's all I'm gonna say. But but Texas, like
they're getting bullied.
There we go. Number 1 team in the country, Texas. All right, like good job.
There's been a lot of turnovers. This year's just crazy. Can we just say it? College football this year is absolutely insane. It's the best year we've ever seen so far. About just the parity. No, really, it's the best year we've seen.
Yeah, and it's not. It's not quite 2007, but it's up there. But Jared, like when you say we're one of the best teams, we're one of the most talented teams in the country for sure. Now I would include the whole team being the coaching staff, and that doesn't always correlate with our players, I don't think. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it was my final thought. Like, so what I thought was the Minnesota. That's what I thought Indiana was. I thought that was what the schedule was.
Okay.
So we play Minnesota, not Indiana.
Which is better.
Yeah,
which is better for us.
That's another like tough game. We have a tough schedule going forward. I mean, no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is. Like even Purdue, I wouldn't put anything past them either. So
is that at Purdue?
Yeah. They put up 49 against Illinois for no reason, so I don't know. And then didn't put up a single point against Oregon, so I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. And
I mean, so yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Like I'm telling you, Penn State. I think they're the best team in America in terms of their talent and their potential. I mean, we're seeing it play out. Texas clearly overrated. If they lose this game, they're down by 17 zip right now. I mean. It's just like it's almost like it's Brett. It's almost like I know what I'm talking about. It's kind of crazy, but
the most wild thing about this game, though, too, Mark, is Georgia threw 2 interceptions. Texas, I think, fumbled twice. Texas hasn't even thrown an interception. They fumbled it twice. So 4 turnovers in the first quarter, and it's the only one team has points off it. That's bad. That means you did not capitalize.
5 versus number 1.
I'll say this too about Texas. I think Arch Manning should be the starter because he's really good. And I would be scared of Texas if he was the starter. I'll just say that.
They've looked very consistent with him in there.
Yeah, that's true. And Quinn Ewers he's injury prone. He's been injured so many times. He shouldn't even be playing right now. He was rusty last week.
I want to pull up a comment. I want to pull up a comment real quick. That's Brett yelling. So this guy said, and I want to put this guy on blast. I'm going to play this a little bit so it's not Brett just sitting there. Penn State is living off the past. Y'all can't win an Natty. You will never see one in your lifetime. LSU fan here, 34 years old, seen 3. And he's got a picture. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but he's got a picture of like a 12-year-old girl as his profile picture. So that's weird.
Listen, Mark Twain, Z6Y, whatever that is. Your team lost to USC and we beat them, so you should probably just calm down.
And on top of that, you saw 3 national titles. That's good for you. What position did you play? Is what I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what he's talking about. I just wanted to put him on blast because I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but, I mean, they lost to USC, and USC's 3-4 now.
And then he said, "You will never see one in your lifetime." LSU fan here. Like, does that make you better or more knowledgeable or what? Like, 3 national titles. So that would make him like 13 when they won the first one with Les Miles. And then they won one. They won 3. They won one in 07, 03, and when else did they win one? Oh, 2019.
2019, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But
good for you, Mark Twain, Z6Y. Yeah. We don't actually care, but thank you.
Yeah, they're not even remotely as consistent as Penn State. So just
really sleep great tonight. Hopefully, anyways.
Yeah, I mean they're winning 16-7 against Arkansas.
I just have a couple questions for that guy. One, why is there a 12-year-old girl as your profile picture? It makes me really question you. Your name is Mark Twain, and I don't know if you're a guy, a grown man, a little girl, a guy, a grown woman. I really don't know. So, yeah, that's just – it helps the algorithm. Now, if I was some people that comment on our stuff, I just wouldn't comment at all because then your stupidity is public. But, hey, man, people are going to do what they're going to do. So, but, yeah. Do you guys have any rebuttal to that whole comment? Brett, you already kind of gave your –
yeah, I mean, like I said, his team lost to USC and we beat them. So what does that make? That makes us better than LSU. I mean,
do you think we're ever going to win a Natty in our lifetime?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
we're all pretty much the same age within a couple years. So yeah, I think we will too.
In the next 10 years, we'll win one. We could win one this year. We could win one next year. We could win one. The recruiting we've been doing, it's going to happen. Well, and the staff we have now is stronger than it's been before.
So. Right.
I think if we ever have a question about Penn State, we should ask Mark Twain and see what he has to say. But Jared, do you have anything else to add on to what you were saying?
No, I mean, so in the end, what you have all these top 10 teams. I mean, LSU is a top 10 team. They're ranked 8th. They are currently being 16. Arkansas 16-7 at the half. So I mean, and this in Arkansas. I mean, it's a good team. They lost to USC. Yeah, and the USC loss was 27-20. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, they got completely smashed and hammered in at home, but it's just that was the case for them. So I feel like that is going to shake a lot of things up. I mean, Georgia seems like this is pretty much a done deal. We saw Alabama go up against them. What was that? Half time for them, like against Alabama and Georgia. They were like, Alabama was completely up on them, and they almost lost that game, but they just squeaked that win out Alabama. So it was like that dropped Georgia, and they went up. And now it's like, LSU could very well be one of the better teams. They lost, and then now they've crawled back up to being in the top 10 again. I mean, I think we're looking at right now the Big Ten, Ohio State, Oregon, and us, Penn State. I think that right there just is what it is. Like, we are right now, the Big Ten have the best 3 teams in the country overall, picture-wise. Like, they have the talent, they get the recruits, the coaching's all there. If we're talking coaching, as of right now, I would have to give that to Oregon, number one. I mean, it's close because Ryan Day can't win big games. James Franklin cannot win big games. I mean, this last week was one of the more needed accolades in his entire resume. So
it's one of his best wins, and it's not on a larger scale. It's not that impressive, but it's still impressive. That's one of his bigger wins. Yeah.
The way we won the game was impressive. That's what the coaching that they did. The play calling was phenomenal. Just outstanding game. Probably one of the best coach games I've seen James Franklin call.
And it answered my question of, can we score points when we need to? And we did. Will it come back to bite us when it counts? I don't know yet. Like, against a good team like Ohio State,